Moderating our conversation today is writer and commentator Lucy Kolbach, whose work you may have read in places like the Financial Times. Come on, guys, come on up. She's joined by, thank you, Lucy. She's joined by Garima, Chief Architect at the Inca Group, an IKEA retailer. Come on, Garima, join us on stage. Pierre Eves, Chief Digital Officer at Pernod Ricard. Thanks for coming, Pierre. And last but certainly not least, Zuzu and my friend, co-founder and Chief Strategy Officer of the loyalty platform Ontavo. Let's give them all a warm welcome. Thank you, panelists.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Amanda, and thank you, everyone. Welcome to this panel. It's very exciting to be up here with companies that are actually already implementing an AI strategy. So without further ado, I'd like for our panelists to give us a bit of context about where they're using AI and how they're positioned in the market. So perhaps, Garima, we could start with you, and you could tell us a little bit, just a small amount about, are you B2C, B2B, where are you using it? And then and Pierre-Yves, and then Juja.
Right. So you hear me well? So at IKEA, of course, we are using it for customer facing, because at IKEA, we are known for to create better everyday life for many people. So customer is really in a center. So we are using it for customer facing application and different customer touch points. At the same time, we are also using AI for really increasing the efficiency in our internal operations. And then the third area where we are using AI, which is also very top focus for our company, is sustainability. So we're using AI-powered applications and AI to be able to meet our overall CO2 emission in end-to-end value chain.
Pierre-Yves.
Hello, so I'm Pierre-Yves. I'm the Chief Digital Officer of Pernod Ricard. You probably know better our brands. And Barunde knows better Absolut Vodka, Jameson, Irish Whiskey, and more recently, Talucus, for example. So the way we've been implementing AI, and we've been starting about 4 years ago, so before the craze of ChatGPT. And we are mainly a B2B company, so we don't sell directly to consumers most of the time. So we use AI to make sure that our customers, which are retailers, bars, wholesalers, etc., sell better our products. So it's a win-win situation. And so most of our solutions are internal facing for marketers, for sales representative, or for our customers, such as wholesalers. So I'll be describing a little more in the rest of the conversation.
Juja.
Hi, everyone. I'm Juja Kečmar, Chief Strategy Officer and co-founder of Ontavo. And I'm not a brand or retailer, but a technology company similar to Bloomreach in marketing technology. And we are partners with Bloomreach. Ontavo focuses on loyalty programs, and we have customers like Tommy Hilfiger or Skims or Bayer or Scandic Hotels and companies like this. There are 3 ways we use AI, and one is how we use it internally to help us be more productive. We are on Google Workspace, and we have Gemini, and everyone is now experimenting with it, and then, wow, and we have this every day. We have a joint chat where we send the stories like, this is what I've done with Gemini today. The other thing is that we trained a custom GPT, because there is all kinds of loyalty program best practices and information out there. But we wanted to create a trusted advisor, an expert, that could help you to get legit loyalty program information. So it's very similar to ChatGPT's custom GPTs. We took 3 books of people we knew. We took a podcast. We took our own content and then trained the GPT on it, and it's like publicly available. There are many use cases like everyone can do around this. And number 3 is something that we are launching next month, solving the problems of implementing loyalty programs, because it's really difficult sometimes, not all the times. But there are these 5 people at companies where you turn to if you need something. And we wanted to create an agentic approach, just like actually Bloomreach, when instead of turning to people, you can turn to AI to get things done.
Perfect, thank you very much. So now AI covers a multitude of different technologies, and I don't want to get too deeply into the technical aspects of it, but perhaps you could give us a little insight as to what type of it, when you say AI, what do you mean? I think you're describing as small and large language models. Garima, perhaps you could give us a little bit of an insight into the different types of technology you're using behind your AI.
Right. So if we start with the customer touchpoints, we are using, I mean, many of you probably have already used it, called IKEA Creative. What it does is basically, you can actually sit on your sofa, take a picture of the space that you want to renovate or design. And then you can completely erase the room and redesign it with help of the digital assistant, the AI-powered digital assistant. Or you could even like select one of the sofas or the chairs from our catalog, and then you can try to place it that where this will suit the best, and then what would you like to combine it with the carpet or the painting on the wall. So this particular feature that we have rolled out, of course, it has helped our customers to design the space virtually without visiting the store and really enhance their creativity. So not totally replaced. So I'm reiterating it. We are not replacing the human creativity. We are rather helping the human creativity along with the AI as their co-pilot or co-assistant. And here, of course, we have used AI with Geomagical as our partner. Then when it comes to internal operations, I can take an example. We are optimizing quite a lot on, for example, last mile deliveries. So when we are delivering to the customers, which is the nearest DC that this particular good can be shipped to. In this way, we are optimizing our overall CO2 emission, plus also the shipping cost for the customers. So it's like a win-win situation for both. And for this purpose, of course, we are using LLMs.
LLMs, excellent. And Pierre-Yves, I think yours is very data focused. So what's the technology behind your strategy?
Yeah, so the main AI we use, and I've called it internally the predictive AI to separate from the generative AI, is, for example, for marketers. So a big part of the budget of the company, about 1.6 billion euros, are spent in marketing. I hope you're seeing some of our ads. It's actually the complexity for a marketer is to know, let's say that you're advertising for, you're in charge of Havana Club, for example, in the UK. If you're a marketer, you have to split the marketing budget between TV, out of home, social media, activation in stores, e-commerce displays. And historically, we've been doing like a lot of companies asking for media agencies, what do you recommend? And a lot of media agencies are doing like we do. They are trying to sell the products on which they make most margins as a bias. And so what we have developed is a tool that actually recommends the good media mix. It's good marketing mix modeling technically. And to do that, we are using 3 years of historical data about every week what we have been doing in terms of marketing, targeting the consumer, so how much we spent on Facebook, Instagram, activation in stores, etc. 3 years of sales to the consumer, so we are asking retailers to share their data. We are getting some proxies for the sales in the bars, for example. And so based on that historical data, thanks to actually open source models, we can identify the correlation between the two. So the spending in one of the media with the actual additional sales we get at the moment, but usually for a few weeks after. And this is the magic of AI, is that it can isolate actual effects and the correlation between the two. And on top of that, we put what we call an optimizer that then tells to the marketer, okay, this is your total budget based on your constraint, what we want to do, gain market share, gain more profitability, etc. This is the optimal recommendation. Of course, the marketers don't follow everything. They wouldn't be marketers. But we do recommend to follow only 80% of it because you want to generate new data and there are information that the algorithms and the past data do not have. And so this is one of the examples of the predictive AI that we use in the company on the core business.
Excellent. I just want to follow up on one aspect of that and just see if it's correct that that has resulted in a more kind of almost localized strategy for your different brands. I don't want to go into too much detail and take too much airtime, but I think that's what's happened as a result of the data that you've received.
Yeah, exactly. So the complexity when you implement those those systems is that the data that you get in each country might be different. Retailers might share or not share, granular data, competition data or not. So you need to adapt in each of the contexts. So it increases a little the cost. However, it also engages with each of the teams in the market because if you want those tools to be adopted, you need to have people participating in the design. Putting their business insights, putting some of the process within the tools, and then you have experts, 1 or 2 people, that put all their knowledge or part of their knowledge within the tools, which is then available for everybody. So it's not just about the tools being smart and calculating and processing a lot of data. Those projects work because you internalize in the models also some of the business knowledge that you have in the marketing teams for that example.
And Zsuzsa, can you tell us a little bit about the technology that's behind the different AI strategies you have?
Yes, and the technologies that are behind the different strategies also determine how difficult it is to do it. So I mentioned 3 examples. One is, what do we do internally? Well, with a click, our system administrator team turned on Gemini. That's that. That's the easiest thing possible, and every company should do this, I think, wherever you are, because maybe you're on Microsoft or you're on Salesforce or wherever you are. These companies are trying very hard to upsell very wisely their AI services, and then they decided, yes, we will go with Gemini, and then the team is using it. It is easy. The other thing is training a custom GPT. That's also very easy, and it can be a quick win. If you search like ChatGPT's custom GPTs, how you can train these, a custom GPT like GPT is what we had behind this loyalty expert. And marketing-wise, it is a very big hit. It is a very easy win because all these people, like even yourself, who are digital leaders, marketeers, loyalty leaders, they really like the idea of having this trusted source who they can consult instead of Google, because that source was smarter than ChatGPT, because we trained it with our own content. So these are easy things. And the difficult things, it takes 2 years. It is Anirban who said, or maybe Raj, that this journey started 2 years ago and will last for 20 or 15, a long time. And our journey is similar too. We started it 2 years ago, and we will launch it next month. And it's completely game changer. It's a new word that is going to come with Agentic AI, or however we call it, because it has multiple names. The terminology is still a blur. But the point is that from a conversation that you would chat with someone, it is becoming a colleague. A colleague, if you can imagine that, you are almost virtually speaking to your colleagues on Slack, right? Imagine that it's not a human sitting behind a computer, but it's an AI creation, an agent. And what does these agents do? They can access databases through services. So basically, they can see customer data, they can reference it with another database, and they can access the knowledge that your company created. In this case, our company created around loyalty programs. So basically, we are creating a colleague, and it takes a lot of time, but it also changes an industry.
So you bring up a couple of points there, because you've obviously taken some different approaches on the different strategies. One's off the shelf, one's in-house developed. How do you make that choice between off the shelf and in-house? Because we'll have a lot of people out here who, well, they don't know where to start. You've just told us Google, make your own GPT, which is a good start. How do you make the choice between developing, buying? What dictates?
I think not all choices need to be made by a leadership. It's just simple people who sit behind the desks, and they just want to do things. So when Google came out with their Gemini, our system administrator team said, like now, they wrote it on Slack, Gemini is available from Google. Do we want it? So we took the trial, and then we decided to let's just go with it. It was a bigger investment from the company because it's an annual fee for every team member, and we decided on it, like basically HR decided about it. So that was that decision. The second option, when we trained a custom GPT, it was the marketing team's initiative, meaning my idea. And I asked my colleagues, like, let's just get it done. So it was also kind of not a big team, but it was a small team, and we could just go with it independently. We checked it with our colleagues, but it was our decision. This other one, that's a whole big company strategy that started 2 years ago. That first night when I was not sitting on a toilet, but I remember where I was at my husband's computer after Christmas. I remember it took me 3 weeks. Okay, now I will try ChatGPT. And then it took us like 3 weeks to properly sit down after Christmas at his computer, and we were like, wow, this is what it can do. So it was a leadership decision that we are going to build this thing and not scratching the surface, like just implementing an easy something into the product, but it took us 2 years of dedication and the whole company behind it. We created separate teams out of our existing teams who are now as like a satellite team. They don't attend those meetings anymore, but they are smaller teams to be agile and be up to date.
You've raised about 3 different threads that we could go down there, but one of the first ones you brought up was who decides the strategy? Where does it come from? So Garima, perhaps you can tell us a little bit about IKEA's journey towards creating an AI strategy. Did you start with a problem? Did you start with wanting a solution? Did it come from the top? Did it come from employees or customers?
I think it was quite a mix, right? So we always, our AI journey started, of course, somewhere 2019, or I would say even beyond that, right? Or I would not call it AI, I would call it like, how do we intelligently work with our data? What insights can it give it? And then also, what are we automating and what we are not? That journey started earlier. So overall, AI strategy is driven from, of course, our Chief Data Analytics Officer. But exactly how this AI will turn into reality, that I think many stakeholders play a very important role, including me. So I would say our approach has been very much like a very problem-centric. So yeah, what problem are we trying to solve? But not only just what problem are we trying to solve, but also what value are we creating for our customers, for our co-workers at IKEA stores, but also internal. And the third one is it driving the efficiency in our day-to-day operations and also in the business metrics. So I would say really the whole AI thing was more around is it solving the issues in these 3 dimensions, and is it being value-driven?
And so, Pierre-Yves, I think your strategy, from what we've discussed before, it started more at the top, but did it end up where you expected it? And did you actually get outcomes that you were looking for? Did you end up with a different result? Tell us a bit about your experience.
Yeah, so the way we approached the topic, so it was about 5 years ago to decide on what we would focus, because I really agree with what Raj was saying. You need to identify the 10% which are relevant for you, because what applies to the pharma industry would be really different from what applies to a company like a consumer good company like we are. So what we did at the time is that we looked at the kind of catalog, about 100 possibilities of what digital in general could do for a company like us. We narrowed down to about 20. And then we had great discussions at the ExCom level in the company, having an estimation of both the complexity of implementation and the value that we could get from the different possibilities. And this is how, out of the 20, we decided to focus on 3 topics. So the one I've mentioned about marketing mix modeling, because of the spend of marketing that we get, and when you are implementing those kind of projects, which are quite costly, you need to move the needle, as was said this morning, more than 10%. And so in marketing mix modeling, we have actually moved the needle in all the countries where we've implemented it by more than 10% in terms of efficiency. A second program that we've launched is for our sales teams. So we have more than 5,000 sales reps on the road every day. In all parts of the world. And we've created a solution for them that every Monday morning will tell them this is the 28 stores that you should be visiting this week. Previously, that was frequency-based. Big store every week, small store every 2 weeks, etc. And now, every week, they have a precise recommendation, which is depending on about 20 to 30 flows of data. So what the stores are selling, characteristics of people living around the store, whether it's close to a beach, a park, etc. So we have, and the promotions which are running. And so based on that, there is that part of recommendation. And then when they get to the store, they get a precise recommendation of which products to check because there's a promotion ongoing or promotion upcoming, or the SKUs which are missing compared to similar stores. So that's another project we decided. And a third one is on the optimization of the prices for our customers. So we want our customers to sell better. So what are the best prices, the best promotions, whether it's a hotel, whether it's a bar or a retailer. And so here you can see that the interesting thing is that the 3 projects we decided are at the core of our business. Of course, we also do the manufacturing of the products, which is more crafting, as we say internally. And we are starting to optimize that part. But the 3 projects we decided to focus at the beginning were those ones. And I'm quite happy that we focused on limiting the number of projects. There's a temptation, even more today, because it's in the local news, it's in the local TV channels about ChatGPT doing plenty of things. If you want to do it well, you need to do it from A to Z, so not just putting the technology, embarking people, analyzing how it works, and to your point, measuring. Yeah. Measuring the business value that you get, because you want to know where you're going to deploy it in all countries, in small ones. And we actually got to the business case which we had at the beginning. So we were headed by some consultants, so usually we divide by 2 the figures that we get in ROI from consultants. But we got actually slightly higher than that figure, which justifies for the cost and the time.
So I'd like to come back to Garima because you first mentioned value. So can you talk a little bit about the KPIs that you consider to be most important and how you measure what value you're getting out of your strategy?
Right. So let's take a concrete example when I say value-driven, right? So let's take an IKEA creative function that we have available in web and also in IKEA app. So the whole idea from the beginning was that we wanted to first, basically build an experience that we are actually giving in a store, also digitally, because IKEA is on our way to become an omni-channel retailer, right? So our first idea of the value creation was that how can we give the same IKEA experience digitally. So our matrices, when we launched the function, was very much to see that how much customer satisfaction rate are we getting, how many customers, for example, how much traffic of the customer visits are we driving in the app and the web, and how many of them are we actually converting to the sale, right? Those were our KPIs. So, and if you look at the value-driven approach, has it created value to the simplified, seamless, unified experience for customer? Yes, because then we were really combining our offline to online and online to offline shopping experience and build like a seamless one. The second KPI was, of course, like how many the orders were actually converted to sale, or the curiosity got converted to the sale. So those metrics is usually we measure on, and that's what, when I say value-driven, that's the value towards the customer, towards the climate or planet, and towards the business. But I would also like to build on what you said, Pierre, earlier. I think many companies that I've seen also can do mistake that, okay, since AI is right at the corner, what do? We start 100 initiatives, because actually with the power of AI, you can actually build 100 initiatives. But IKEA has been very, very structured in building our AI strategy. That's why we actually driven it from top down, because we wanted to control how many AI-enabled functions we want to build. So we started small, scaled it, and then grow the portfolio as well. So
Zsuzsa, you've had a lot of, as you mentioned, a lot of different inputs. So bottom-up input, top-down input. In each of those different strategies, who have you had to persuade? Who have you had to get the buy-in from stakeholders? Has there been pushback from employees for some of the strategies? We're going to have a panel shortly about the impact on the workforce. And everyone's talked about efficiency and profitability, well, not profitability, it was efficiency and productivity, and these seem quite euphemistic terms and often tend to speak to the workforce. So what's your experience in getting buy-in from everyone in the company?
It was so easy, like totally so easy. But maybe we are, I don't say we are an exception, but we are a technology company.
Yeah.
So tech-minded people are working with us. I can see why this may not be that easy for other companies. I don't see any other way though. Like AI will be here, and it's not AI who will take your job, but the person who is working with AI. And companies, we just want to make more money, to be more efficient. So if I'm trying to see the meaning behind your question, like how to sell this internally, I would pitch productivity, for sure, and also how easy it is to start, because there are multiple ways to start. You can hire a consultant, or you can hire like a one-person consultant, or you can hire the Deloitte, Accenture's, EPAM's, Capgemini's of the earth, which is a big project, it's very expensive, and so on. I would just simply hire a consultant for 10 hours, and that's that. After 10 hours, it's already so much insight, inspiration, and reasoning you can get. Basically, after that, you can do anything. It just takes 10 hours from someone, that's that.
Thank you. Pierre-Yves or Garima, did either of you have any difficulty in stakeholders? What was your oh, yep, obviously Garima did.
No, I mean, it's not like it was very hard, but it's still like, if you're a company, of course, who is still technology driven, so IKEA is very technology driven, but at the same time, IKEA is very consumer driven. Technology is not one of the core business. Technology is here to support our retail business. And there, of course, to convince stakeholders at times, there are two challenges that we face, right? So one is, of course, that, again, coming back to what value are we driving towards the co-workers and the customers and our internal operation efficiency. But again, the second problem is also, or the challenge was, at least back then, was also like, do we have competence to build it and scale it? And, you know, so, and then we need to, of course, not only work on the technology adaptation or being pioneer in it, but also like build up the internal competence and capacities.
So you talk about competence and capacity. So one question, and whoever would like to take it, I think possibly our final question is failure. Was failure part of your experience, and how did you deal with it? And you're nodding, Pierre-Yves, so, or either of you, whoever speaks first.
I can probably start here and then I hand it over to you, Per. Definitely. I mean, every time we are on an adaptation of a new technology or new processes, there's always a trial and error. At IKEA, of course, we also had a couple of, learnings in the beginning. So like I said, we didn't really try to build like the big AI portfolio in the company. We had still it like very focused on product, problem solving, and limit. So there was a limited number of AI that we started with. But there, of course, what we forgot about, that building just the good AI models or adopting the existing open source models was not enough. We have to equally pay attention to the data management. Because for
the data management.
Yeah, exactly. To be able to get the greater results that we want, we need to also work on our overall data management, data interoperability, data accessibility, and those aspects, which I think we picked up very quickly. So that was one of the initial challenge. The second one was also like, where do you really, like, for example, if you have trained the model and then let's say we piloted it in one of the countries, we would of course see that some of the use cases of course fit in and some didn't. So there was also like, where do we really focus on what is the most important? Instead of overwhelming the consumers and countries with lot of features on AI, right? So being like very context-based was another learning in our AI journey. The third one, again, I think as I've said, like building competence. So I don't think the big companies like us can really depend always on external talent if we want to have much steady and stable AI strategy. But at the same time, we also wanted to have a good balance of it with the partnership as well as with our internal capacities. So finding that out was a bit of a journey.
Perfect, wonderful. We have so much ground we could cover here. You are all going to get the opportunity to converse on this when we finish. But Pierre-Yves, a couple of words on your experience with failure, as it were.
So as any new things coming in, you make a lot of mistakes. So good thing is that I've learned from my previous job when I was in charge of digital marketing, when we had started from the data. So we said, okay, let's get 20,000 or 20 million emails, and then we'll figure out what we do with it. We never did. So all the programs that we've actually implemented are starting what you were saying from the problem we want to solve, optimize the marketing spend, optimize the routes, optimize the pricing. And probably another mistake we've done actually quite frequently is not forgetting to embark everybody. For example, we've developed a tool that we give to our wholesalers in fragmented markets. Like in Spain, we have 1,000 wholesalers, in South Africa, in Latin America. And we, on that tool where the moms and pops can order online to their wholesalers. We don't want to deliver directly. We want to go through the wholesalers. We have implemented some AI ordering, so you can take a photo of an order, etc. So solution is nice, etc. But at the beginning, we forgot to involve everybody in that chain. So we forgot to sometimes onboard the sales rep, which was visiting the wholesaler, and said, but it's going to take my job. Then the wholesaler, not just the owner, but you need to embark the sales director, etc., and then the sales reps, so that the solution is deployed. And actually, you need to take into account the incentives. So we need it for this to work, to have the sales rep to be incentivized also on the orders coming through the platform. And we forgot to also embark other FMCG companies. So this is what we are doing now, so that the portfolio which is shown on the platform is much wider than just our products. And so we have now discussions with Nestlé, Coca-Cola, and if some of you are working in FMCG companies, we are looking for partners in those countries to
that was a pitch.
Solution.
He's just pitched.
Yeah.
We're now out of time. I'm cutting him off. So everybody, talk amongst yourselves. Thank you so much. I'd like a round of applause for our panelists here for sharing their experience. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.